Daniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 2 matchup between the Texas Longhorns and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Two teams that should be very much considered college football playoff contenders. Texas is a team that is built to win right now. You consider this team all around, they're stacked. And I know Texas has maybe disappointed in years past, especially when this team is in the spotlight, but I think 2023 could very well be this team's year. They're probably my favorite to win the Big 12. And they're taking on Alabama in Week 2. This is a rematch of a game we saw last season. And, Texas kept it close. It was a 20-19 Alabama win. And this time it's in Tuscaloosa, and Alabama is in a much different position this time around. Last year they were probably the national title favorite heading into the season. This time around, this is a team that's flying under the radar a bit. You consider Georgia and Michigan, both teams with a lot of noise this offseason, probably considered your two national favorites. Alabama's been kind of in the background of those conversations. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if this team eventually won the national title this season. So a huge matchup for both teams coming up here in Week 2. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Texas beat Rice in Week 1, 37-10. Dominant win for them. Same for Alabama. They beat Middle Tennessee 56-7. So both teams with dominant wins. As you'd expect, both teams 1-0 heading into this matchup. Games to be on Saturday, September 9th in Tuscaloosa. So Alabama's the home team this season. And obviously last year's in Texas, which, you consider how close Texas kept it last season. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if they kept it close in this matchup as well. I do think this is a better Texas team this season. And, Alabama could be better this season as well, even though they do have a bit more uncertainty, I would say, especially surrounding the quarterback situation. But I will say this, though. Jalen Milroe, when he played last week, was overall pretty impressive. And, I know he was taking on Middle Tennessee, but at least that shows potential as of right now. So we'll see if he can continue that into a tougher matchup for sure, taking on Texas. But spread's going Alabama here by 7.5. Over-under's 57. And the FBI is also going Alabama. Series history, Texas leads at 7-2. Now, obviously, the last game was last season where Alabama won it 20-19. Stat comparison for this one, Quinn Ewers last week was impressive for Texas, 19 for 30, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Milroe was also promising for Alabama, 13 for 18, 194 yards and 3 touchdowns. The quarterback situation for Alabama was definitely a question mark heading into this season. We know this team has got tremendous talent at the quarterback position. It's just replacing Bryce Young is a really tough thing to do. Bryce Young was incredible. And so Milroe obviously has got some big shoes to fill, but I do think that based off of Week 1, he was impressive. So there's a lot of potential shown there. And even Quinn Ewers, definitely quarterback not to underestimate, I think, heading into this matchup. Your key points for this one, Texas 1-0, promising start on both sides for the Longhorns. Once again, you got to consider Texas played Rice and Alabama played Middle Tennessee. We still don't know a lot about both teams. But there's definitely promise for both teams here. You got to consider the talent and the depth of both teams. It makes sense for Texas and Alabama to be a couple of your main college football playoff contenders. But this is really a time for Texas and for Quinn Ewers to shine here. This is a huge opportunity taking on Alabama, one of your national contenders, one of your main ones, in Week 2 of the season. It's tough going on the road, especially in a night game. But for Quinn Ewers, if he's got something to prove, this is the time to prove it. And this is a deep, talented team who's definitely one of the Big 12 favorites. Personally, for me, I've got Texas probably as my favorite to win the conference. I know that Texas sometimes, when they're in the spotlight, maybe doesn't live up to some of those expectations most of the time. But I do think this is a year where Texas is built to win. And we saw a couple big surprises in Week 1. This could absolutely be one of them. Most are expecting Alabama to win this one, but Texas could totally go into Tuscaloosa and win it. And I think that this is a team talented enough to do so. But for Alabama, flying under the radar, this is a team that is still Nick Saban coached. It's incredible what Nick Saban has done with Alabama. This is one of the true dynasties. And you got to consider Georgia's kind of taken over Alabama's position as that top power in college football right now. So Alabama's absolutely got a chip on their shoulder right now, and so this is a huge game for them. Jalen Milroe showed a lot of upside in Week 1, and we're going to see him taking on a tough team in Week 2. So definitely jumping into a much tougher game here, and they got home field advantage as well. It's going to be tough for Texas. It's going to be loud, a night game as well. So you can expect that to be a challenge and an advantage for sure for Alabama. But with that, let's get to the prediction here for Texas and Alabama coming up here in week 2, probably your biggest matchup of the week. And with that, I do want to go with the favorite here. Alabama's going to win this one 27-21. This is going to be a close matchup, though. I don't see this being a big blowout by Alabama that some might expect. Once again, I do think that you consider Texas. They kept it really close with Alabama last season, almost won it last season. And this is a more talented Texas team this season for sure. And so, I mean, Texas, I think, hangs around. And I do think Alabama, this is probably going to be one of those games where the Crimson Tide lead it all the way, but Texas kind of hangs in there and keeps it close until the very end. But I do think, Crimson Tide win this one. I'm going to say 55% towards Bama. Over-under is 57. I am taking the under for this one, and Texas to cover that 7.5-point spread. We'll see if that adjusts over the week, but as of right now, I do have Texas covering and Alabama winning at 27-21. But crucial matchup for both teams. I mean, if Texas can win this game, that's really going to put them on the map, I think, heading into the later part of September. I mean, if they win this matchup, that probably puts them in the top 5. So lots on the line here. And for Alabama, obviously a team that's kind of under the radar right now, this is a huge opportunity for them as well. But with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.